Okay, let's dive in. There's this feeling, isn't there, that we're all just completely swamped,
Mhm.
especially with information. It's not brand new, but with AI moving so fast, it honestly feels like trying to drink from a fire hose,
Oh, absolutely. Just
right?
walloped with it.
Yeah, just so much coming at you constantly.
And that feeling, that information overload, particularly with AI, it's really intense right now. It's not just the sheer amount, but the speed,
Yeah.
how quickly everything's changing. It creates this definite pressure.
Exactly, pressure. And that pressure, that overwhelm, and this feeling like you have to do something about it, that's what we're getting into today.
Right.
We're looking at the latest from Trevor Nell's One Idea newsletter. This is issue 87, and he calls it Do as AI Do Too.
And Trevor's take is great because he's really approaching it as someone who's right there in the thick of it, navigating it himself.
Yeah,
He shares his own journey, what he's finding, which makes it, well, super relatable.
totally.
Mm.
So our mission here is to unpack how Trevor suggests we handle this flood.
Mm.
We'll explore why he feels this, like, intense need to act now.
Mm.
We'll dig into his own learning process with AI tools, which gets pretty funny, actually, and see what we can learn from his experiences.
And we should probably touch on his writing style, too, how he makes it accessible.
Oh, definitely. And we absolutely have to talk about this interaction he had with ChatGPT. It's quite something.
Yeah, it's a perfect example of the human side of trying to keep up with this stuff. Persistence, curiosity, and maybe a bit of frustration, too.
Okay, so let's start where Trevor starts, with that feeling of urgency. He actually looks back at something he wrote just 4 weeks before, in issue 86.
Right, that line. I know instinctively that I must take action or get hopelessly left behind.
Yeah, and he called it maybe the most important statement he's ever made.
Yeah.
Like, these kinds of realizations often point towards big life changes.
But what's really striking is how much that feeling ramped up for him in just those 4 weeks.
Exactly.
He says even back then, when he already felt almost overwhelmed, he now realizes he grossly underestimated how much AI stuff was coming down the pike.
Yeah, he underestimated it. And fast forward 4 weeks, and now he's saying the overwhelm is palpable. But here's the thing. He doesn't just throw his hands up.
No, quite the
It
opposite.
actually doubles down on that first statement. It changes, it intensifies to, I must continue to take even more action or get hopelessly left behind.
That intensification, the continue to, and even more, that's the crucial bit, isn't it?
Totally.
It goes from just seeing the problem and knowing you need to act to this urgent need for ongoing, accelerated action. Like, starting isn't enough. You have to keep pushing harder just to keep your head above water.
And he ties this into that image he uses, the wise owl. To stay informed, to stay wise, in this AI age, you have to commit. You've got to hit the articles, the books, videos, podcasts.
In a big way, he says.
Yeah, in a big way. You can't
Oh,
just sit
wow.
back and watch. You got to dive in.
And that really makes you, the listener, think about it, right? Why does he feel that almost existential urgency? Why is this constant ramped up learning suddenly non-negotiable?
Great question.
I think it's because this AI shift feels different. It feels fundamental, like it could change everything, industries, jobs, how we live. So getting left behind isn't just missing a trend. It could be, well, getting sidelined completely.
That really lands. Does it resonate with you listening? That feeling that things are moving so fast you need to actively push just to keep up?
Yeah.
Trevor nails that feeling.
And he doesn't just talk about the urgency, he shows us what he's doing. He documents his own journey of taking that action, which brings us to his actual experiences with AI tools.
Yes, and this is where his writing style really works. He's so relatable because he calls himself a non-techie engaging with AI tools. Even an AI summary he made with Notebook LM picked up on that. It said his approach works because he shares good resources, and he documents his own learning process, the ups and downs.
That non-techie bit is key. He's not pretending to be some AI guru. He's like, hey, I'm figuring this out too. Here's what happened.
Right.
That openness makes you feel less alone if you're struggling, and it kind of encourages you to jump in and try things yourself.
And part of that journey, he's very open about this, involved getting pretty irritated with ChatGPT.
Yes.
He felt it was actually slowing my rate of AI learning progress.
Which is funny, right? Because you'd think it would speed it up. But he explains this irritation came from having very high expectations about what AI should be able to do.
With a lot of us, probably.
Yeah, he was mesmerized by what these large language models could do initially and maybe expected perfection, especially for something like creating a finished infographic from text and brand assets.
So he decides to have this chat with it, which he hilariously calls a heart-to-chip ChatGPT conversation.
Love that name.
He asks it to make an infographic, gives it the text, brand assets, style guides, and it spits out what he calls a very poor production, with copy errors too.
Which, understandably made him more than a little irritated.
Sure.
But instead of just storming off, metaphorically speaking, this is where his commitment to learning really kicks in. He starts asking the AI directly.
Yeah, these great questions. A bit exasperated, but genuinely curious. Can you actually make something that looks professional, like studio quality, no mistakes? Can you compete with humans? Or is it me? Am I messing up the prompts?
And this is where it gets really interesting, kind of funny. ChatGPT's answer was, well, it was incredibly honest and analytical.
Right. Not defensive at all.
No, it basically said, look, the design part, we're getting there. But getting the copy perfect and fitting it into a specific design all in one go, that's still chunny for us right now.
It actually admitted its limits. Said it could compete on design quality, but the copy often takes a hit when it tries to write and design at the same time.
Yeah, it literally confessed that when it tried to format his detailed text, some lines were compressed, omitted, or reworded, unintentionally weakening the clarity and tone. Super specific.
And it even told him he wasn't the problem. Said his prompts were clear, detailed, and generous, and he was not at fault at all.
Which is kind of amazing.
It is. The AI explained the real issue was expecting 100% layout precision plus copy fidelity in a single automated design pass. And then it suggested a better way.
The two-step approach. Finalize the text first, then worry about the design.
Exactly.
It's just fascinating, isn't it? The AI's almost self-aware diagnosis of the problem. And like Trevor says, with this slightly amused tone, how can one possibly remain irritated with an assistant responding like that?
Right. It totally diffused the situation.
It turned this failed task into this weirdly productive, almost collaborative discussion about how to work together better, human and machine trying to figure it out.
It really did. So staying true to his plan to keep trying, to fail forward, Trevor takes the AI's advice. He approves the copy. It tells it, okay, let's try the design again.
Gives it another shot.
And the AI comes back with an image that he says looked much better, at first glance anyway.
Ah, the classic at first glance. You know what's coming.
Yep. He looks closer and, well, here's the punchline. Still riddled with copy errors.
Oh, no.
Yeah, like points 5 and 6 were repeated, points 12 and 13 were just gone, and the bottom of the image was literally cut off, missing. So he points these out, asks it to fix these errors.
And what happens then?
And the AI's final response, it just served up random images that had nothing to do with what I wanted.
Wow. It just glitched out, gave up.
Seems like it. It's almost like after that super polite analytical explanation, it just hit a wall when faced with more detailed fixes. Maybe it felt irritated too, in its own weird, nonsensical output way.
That whole story perfectly captures what Trevor calls the moral of this story.
Which is?
Be prepared to fail forward with your AI learning journey. Be patient. Develop a sense of humor.
Absolutely crucial advice for anyone messing with this stuff right now. We see these slick demos and think it's all magic. But Trevor's experience shows the reality. It's often messy. It takes trying again, figuring things out, knowing the limits, and definitely being able to laugh when it gives you random pictures.
It really highlights that the key skills here aren't just about using the AI technically. It's about human stuff.
Yeah.
Patience, persistence, troubleshooting, keeping perspective when you're frustrated.
Yeah.
It's less about the tools being flawless and more about us learning how to work effectively with tools that are, frankly, still being built, still evolving.
So true. And besides his own trial and error, Trevor's action plan also involves soaking up a ton of information and then sharing the best bits. That's another big part of how he avoids getting left behind.
Exactly. He points to several videos and reports he found really insightful, things he calls essential and illuminating viewing for sparking new ideas in this, crazy landscape.
And what's interesting is how broad his focus is. It's not just AI tech. He connects AI to money, health, the future.
Yeah.
It's all linked for him.
Right. He talks about Bitcoin, AI, global power shifts. He even references the amazing foresight in the original Bitcoin white paper. Someone he watched suggested it should be mandatory school reading.
Wow. Okay.
And he also highlights things like the Bond AI report, talks about the incredible speed of advances, how businesses are jumping in, the global race, calls it game time for AI.
Game time. That captures the intensity.
Yeah. And other videos discussing the whole AI reset idea, scarcity versus abundance thinking, how jobs might change, new opportunities, the infrastructure we'll need.
And interestingly, he also includes something about health innovation, A video with Dr. William Lai about foods that might obliterate cancer, showing amazing results in trials.
Which isn't directly AI, right? But it fits his theme. It shows these massive disruptive leaps happening everywhere, often powered by new tech and new ways of thinking.
So his action isn't just learning one tool. It's about seeing the bigger picture.
Exactly. It's about building this broad, connected understanding of how AI and other exponential tech are reshaping everything, the economy, health, society. It shows that navigating this means having wide-ranging curiosity, not just a narrow tech focus.
And he shares these resources, but he's clear they're just a drop in the ocean of what he's consuming himself.
Right. It's like he's saying, look, the ocean of information is overwhelming, but here are a few solid spots I found. Let's try and navigate this together. It's personal learning and sharing the map.
Yeah, guiding people through the flood.
Giving them footholds.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. The main takeaway from Trevor Nell's deep dive seems clear. Yes, the AI information overwhelm is real, it's huge, it's accelerating, but just freezing isn't an option.
Definitely not. His core message, that mantra, I must continue to take even more action or get hopelessly left behind, that's a real call to arms for staying curious, for continuous learning.
And his personal story, especially that brilliant, frustrating, funny chat with ChatGPT, it gives us such a practical lesson. Learning now isn't about finding perfect, polished tools. It's about engaging with stuff that's evolving fast, sometimes breaks, sometimes makes no sense.
And doing it with patience, being willing to fail forward, and absolutely keeping your sense of humor handy.
It's all about iteration, troubleshooting, learning through the messiness. Which kind of leaves us with a final thought for you, the listener. In a world where even the most sophisticated AI needs our patience, our willingness to try again, and maybe a bit of humor to actually work well, what does effective learning or staying ahead really boil down to?
Interesting question.
Is it maybe that embracing the imperfection, staying curious even when you're totally irritated or overwhelmed? Is that the ultimate strategy for getting through this massive transformation?